So welcome to A Better Way podcast. This is McKay Shoell, your host. And I've got joining us today, Mr. Aaron Brown.
Hello.
CEO, co-founder, and all-around awesome guy. So Aaron, how on earth did you ever get in this industry?
Can I start with like my official career path?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
When I met my wife, I was, I like to say, managing a landscape maintenance company. My wife likes to say he was mowing lawns. I was a manager. We did mow lawns, did landscaping, did snow removal, and then my body was kind of like, I don't think I want to do this for the rest of my life. So I started looking around a little bit and had a friend who sold life insurance, and he said, you should try this. And I said, do you need a degree or a diploma? And he said, no, but you do have to pass some tests. So I got my 6 and 63 and I started selling life insurance. And I did okay. And then I was selling one of my neighbors, Dan Morrison, who later became a business partner for a short period of time, which is actually where I met Jeff. But I was trying to sell him life insurance, and he was watching the World Series, and he didn't even after a couple of minutes, he's like, dude, do you even make any money doing this? And I was offended. And I said, yeah. And he said, well, if you can make money doing this, you can make a hell of a lot more money doing mortgages. And I said, okay, see you later. And then I had sold a long-term care policy, and the people canceled it after a couple of months, which means my commissions got charged back, and it was a large commission. So then I went back to Mr. Dan Morrison and I said, hey, if somebody, I don't know, defaults on their mortgage, do they charge you back your commissions? He was a broker, so the answer was no. And I said, tell me more. And that's kind of how I got started in the mortgage business. Crazy. It was a very low barrier to entry back then, which worked in my favor.
So back then, what did a credit report look like for our younger audience?
It was on paper. Does our younger audience even know what that is? I don't know. But it was on a special credit reporting paper. So you'd sign up with the agency and whoever was providing it for you, and they would bring you like a ream of paper that was their credit reporting paper that had a watermark on it. So that when you printed it, it was officially a credit report.
That's so funny. So,
yep.
Okay, so you're doing mortgage there, probably started as an originator, right?
Started as an originator and hit up all my friends and family and did pretty good.
So then
Dan Morrison was right in this sense. You can make a hell of a lot more money doing mortgages back then than selling life insurance.
Okay, love that. So then fast forward, and I know we don't even have near enough time to go through the entire story. Thankfully, I lived part of that story, but kind of at a Reader's Digest version, take me from, okay, I'm an originator, and now if we fast forward to 2026, you're co-founder of a very large mortgage company. In addition to, we've got Box Home Loans as part of the Canopy family.
Yeah.
So kind of take me through, how do you go from, okay, I'm originating, to now there's over 700 employees and licensed in every state but New York at this point?
Yeah, that is an evolution. It's a long story, and it took a long time. It's been 30 years. So it didn't happen overnight for sure. But I had the first mortgage company, Infinity Financial Services. My wife did not support the idea of me going into business with this guy, Dan. And turns out she was right. He had a bit of an addictive personality, and it showed up in the business. He would make a bunch of promises, and then I was stuck trying to deliver on them. But that's where I met Jeff. Jeff was one of the loan officers, not just one of the loan officers. He was the top loan officer. and Dan and I split ways, and Jeff ended up leaving that company and said, "Hey, let's build something together." I said, "I don't ever want another business partner again." Jeff's a pretty persistent guy. I don't know if you know that.
The understatement of the podcast.
And he persisted, and I relented, and we came together to share resources, and we were just never going to grow. And then we realized, no, we're both pretty much diehard entrepreneurs, and we've been growing. And we looked at every different way that we could scale and grow, and so that we didn't have to be the ones doing all of the loans all of the time. But boy, we did a lot of joint ventures with builders and with realtors. We, back in the day, there was down payment assistance, and we actually ran the in-house mortgage company for one of the largest down payment assistance providers until legislation changed. And
the story of the mortgage world.
Oh my gosh.
Until
legislation changes. Yeah. Which is with some regularity. And we started the first all Spanish mortgage company in the great state of Utah. And no, Jeff and I don't speak Spanish. But from all of these little ventures we had, we learned things. And I think that's kind of, I guess to sum it up, how did we get where we are? By falling on our face lots of times. But we're scrappy, and we're good at getting up quickly and learning from our mistakes.
Awesome. So switching gears a little bit from mortgage, I think it'll be super cool. And I know a lot of our audiences are employees. What does Aaron Brown like to do outside of lead and grow a mortgage company?
A lot of things, actually. I'm pretty adventurous guy, maybe an adrenaline junkie. I think first and foremost, I like hanging out with my family. Been married for what?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because when you said maybe a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, I thought back to a story, and I won't call out the individual, that he's like, Aaron took me on a motorcycle ride.
Oh.
And he ended up wrapped around a tree with a broken rib.
I remember that guy.
The owner of your company is a badass, man. He just ripped down the trail, and I'm wrapped up around a tree and can barely breathe. So sorry, I snickered because
that was pretty funny.
A little bit adventurous.
That guy was doing wheelies in the parking lot when we were ready to go. I'm thinking, oh, this guy's all that in a bag of chips. This is going to be great. But he was used to riding track, and this was single track. It was a track of sorts, but there were lots of trees and externalities.
Okay, back to the wife. Sorry, I just busted up laughing thinking of that guy mowing
Actually, I think
around a tree.
As I look back and we talk, how did you get where I am? I would not be here, not even close, without Shannon. I still can't believe I got her to marry me. That was probably the biggest deal, biggest close of my life. And 30, coming up on 33 years.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah. And we got 5 kids in 8 years. So we broke the don't have your kids closer than 2 years rule twice and paid for it. We had kids in bottles of diapers for 10 years. And it was difficult when I was in it, but I would go back to it in a heartbeat. We had a good time. We had a motorhome. We would take our kids like everywhere and had a great time. So that's, and today hanging out with my family is probably my favorite thing to do. I joke that I could probably make a couple of $1 million if we put a couple of cameras and mics in my main living area of our home, because when our family gets together and we talk about things, it's funny. People would pay money to watch the Browns.
the Browns and Hotel Brown, as I affectionately call it. It seems like Aaron always either
Yeah.
had a foreign exchange student
Oh, yeah.
or a niece or a nephew or
Yeah.
some other friend that needed a place to lay his head. I always say my backup if it gets bad is I know I can always go hang out at the Hotel Brown.
You totally can. I think we've added it up, and we're well past like 25 people that have lived with us we'd meet people on cruises and invite them out, and they would come and they would stay with us for a week.
That's awesome. No, and that sums up Aaron and Shannon both.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So I know of one other recent hobby that you picked up. Tell me a little bit about this recent hobby. It involves a professional sporting team, and Aaron's never really been into the whole professional sports arena.
Yeah, we skipped past all the adrenaline stuff. We were going to come back to that, and I just mentioned it briefly. We got motorcycles.
Yeah.
Skiing, snowboarding, surfing behind a boat. Love those things. Adventure bike riding. Went to Vietnam. Can't stop thinking about it. Can't wait to go back. But I have never, ever been a sports spectator. Even the things that I love to do, like motorcycles. I don't follow motocross. I have a little bit of ADD, just a little bit. And I have never purchased any national sports team merch until the Mammoth came to town. And first hockey game I went to, McKay, Tim, my brother Ben, and I was like, this takes a fair amount of concentration just to follow that puck. That thing moves fast, 95 miles an hour sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so Utah Mammoth came to town, went to a hockey game, and I kind of picked it up because it sings to my ADD. I don't think ADD is attention deficit. I think it's adrenaline deficit. There's not enough stimulation, so you can't focus. In hockey, there's
plenty of stimulation.
There is plenty to keep my brain engaged, and absolutely love it. And now 2 to 3 times a week you'll see me with Mammoth gear, and every time I go to a game they have like gear of the game, and probably half the time I come home with something, including like padded hockey sticks for my grandkids.
Yeah, I can now text Aaron about sports. It just has to be hockey, and he'll watch it more than I will, which is the first for me. So.
And I will text you and be like, "Did you see the game?"
Yes.
And you're like, "No, but I watched the highlights." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
The shoe's on the other foot. So, okay, cool. Love that. Super, super good to peek into your personal life a little bit, your hobbies. So, one of the things that you've experienced, you and Jeff both, is an incredible amount of growth. And what I want to ask, because there are a number of people that continually look at Canopy Mortgage, what is your overall? What would you say your leadership style is? And what qualities do you look for in loan officers, and what qualities do you and the team that you've assembled possess in leadership? So let's talk leadership.
Probably the number one thing would be I like people. Most people. I like nice people. I don't like jerks. And I'm willing to spend the time to try and figure out, try and understand. If there's conflict, try and understand the other side of the equation, what somebody else is experiencing. We all have a bias. It's just based on our experiences to date. And knowing that we have a bias is important, and challenging that bias is important, but challenging in a way where you start with seeking to understand first. And And when you understand that other person and they know that you understand them, that's where there's a connection and where you can begin to make progress. So I think leadership style would be, I don't know, the ability to connect with people, care about people.
Yep. And I would add, having been able to work under Aaron's leadership style, the other thing is he gives a fair amount of autonomy. Like I don't think I've ever had to come in and say, Aaron, what do you want me to do next? You allow individuals to lead and to grow. I always love, you say you've got your two guardrails, right? Remind us what those guardrails are.
Compliance and profitability.
Yep.
It's a big playing field.
Yeah. Anything in between there is pretty much green lights, right?
Yeah.
So love that.
It has been amazing over time to kind of look back and see how things have come together. But going back to how did we get here, I'm just smart enough to know that I'm not the smartest guy in the room. And there's something magical that happens when you're working with somebody and you empower them by trusting them. And what I've found is, if I'm doing something like business intelligence, right? And for the longest time, that was me creating spreadsheets and extracting data out of Flow back in the day, right? It wasn't even Nano. But I learned how to do it and I can figure things out. Like I say, I'm pretty scrappy that way. But then when I took that hat off and I gave it to Jimmy and empowered him with my trusts and trusted him to do things, man, he does it 100 times better than I do. And I've found that time and time again. Same thing, working with you. And that's been pretty cool to watch and see. To see somebody take that and make it better than I ever even dreamed it could be. That autonomy is really, really important.
Awesome. So one of my favorite quotes, and it's actually a scripture, it says, without a vision, the people perish, right? So help give our listeners your vision for where we go next as a company.
Yeah, I don't necessarily care about being the biggest. The biggest comes with a lot of liability and a big target on your back. But I do want to be the best, the most efficient, providing people a better way to do things. And there's lots of different ways that you can measure that. But in our industry, it all comes down to basically volume and growing through volume. And I want to be like the best mortgage company to work for. I want to be the company that is the last company that you work for. We've had a couple of people retire from Canopy. Maybe even one day I will. Who knows? But that's the path that we want to be on. Is a great place to work, and the last place that you work, because you want to be here and you want to stay here because it is that good. And if we're in the top 20% of lenders from a volume perspective, that's kind of where I think we want to.
Which right now, what's that number?
Man, that number changes. Who knows when this podcast is going to air and when people are watching it, but somewhere around maybe 15 billion a year, 15 to 20, depending on market conditions.
I love that. Depending on market conditions, disclaimer.
Yeah, that's our industry.
Yes. So, perfect. One other question that I have, and I kind of want to end on this question. Give me the perfect avatar for someone who would thrive, whether it be an employee within Canopy or someone coming over and joining us to originate loans. We kind of view our loan teams as partners and less as just, quote, loan officers. They truly are our partners, but kind of give us who fits that mold and why, and maybe the individuals that don't fit that mold and why.
Yeah, maybe we'll start with that last part. And maybe that's, when you're defining something, a lot of times people will start defining it by telling you what it isn't. We don't want whiners, jerks, and losers. We want people who care. We want people who are interested in growing and progressing, and who understand that there's really not a destination on that one. It's all about the journey, because you're never going to be perfect, at least not in this life, right? So we're looking for people who thrive on growth and progress, and are willing to come and, first of all, learn who we are, learn what we do, and more importantly, why we do the things that we do. So somebody who has the ability to be humble and teachable, and know that there's probably a better way to do things, and learn what we have, learn why we do what we do, and then help us get to the next level. Somebody who can provide feedback, and help us innovate and help us grow, because we're never going to get to that done status. And it's the great people who have come on board that have helped us kind of get to that next level. I mean, we believe that there's always going to be a better way to do things, and we're committed to finding that better way, and having great people who believe in that same principle is how we're going to get there.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna do one last brave question, because I've heard you say this a number of times, and I think it's super powerful. It resonates with me. But what is ownership to you?
Ownership of the company, or
Correct.
ownership? Yeah. Well, you've heard kind of how I feel about things, and how this has been an evolution over time. And it's less, for me personally, it's less about owning something and having it be mine. It's more about a stewardship. And that's really what this feels like at this point. There are a lot of people, I think at this point we're maybe around 750 employees. And you take that and extend it out a little bit. Maybe there's a plus one, maybe there's a family. There are a lot of people who are depending on us collectively, and ultimately it boils up to, Jeff and I, to make the right decisions, to be able to make sure that the company continues to be great and provide an opportunity for all of our employees, whether it's a division leader or a specialist, but to provide a future for all of our employees. That is a stewardship. And so for me, it's less about ownership and way more about stewardship, and being a good steward, and making sure that everybody who is associated with Canopy sees that they have a future, and can know and trust that we're going to do the right thing.
Thanks so much, Aaron. And man, we didn't even rehearse that, and that was exactly what I was looking for. I've heard you say that a number of times, and I think it's truly powerful. It's part of what's drawn and kept me here for 20 years. Is I feel a part of that stewardship, and part of the team. I just want to thank you for each and every employee for leading, putting your money where your mouth is, and setting the example from the top of what it means to be an employee at Canopy Mortgage. And we are super blessed to have you and Jeff atop leading our company. So thank you, and thanks for your time today.
Back at you. Thanks, Mac.